Okay, the second mistake I think women make, and again, messengers, we don't quote our prices confidently. Matter of fact, sometimes we don't quote them at all. Or we do that thing another speaker said, it's $3,000 to work with me. No, it's $1,000 actually. Well, if you do multi-payments, you can drop a payment, and then, well, you know what? Why don't we just work together and we'll see how it goes? Right?
I'll pay you to work with me.
Yeah, exactly. I need the testimonial. Why don't I pay you? I can only imagine you're laughing because you've done it. So I would love to tell you that when you leave this conference, you're just going to have the confidence to go out there and charge what you're worth. I wish I could just sprinkle fairy dust out there and have that be true. But here's the thing about confidence and fear. It's a law. The only way fear goes away is when you do the thing you're afraid to do. It does not work any other way. You cannot sit and wait for the confidence to come. You will only become confident quoting your price, or the price that you want, when you go do it. So you know what that means? The first few times you do it, you're not going to be confident. Forget that idea. So I want to share my story of when I kind of got an awakening around my pricing. It was back in my consulting business. So when I was working in that business, I was charging $1,500 for a position benchmark. Now, a position benchmark is when you look at a job and you analyze it and you determine the criteria that that employer needs to hire the candidate to match. And I was charging $1,500 and having trouble getting it. By the way, as you saw, I was only making $30,000 a year. And then I went to a training of my peers, so other behavioral analysts who did the same work I did. And I'll never forget, I live in Rochester, New York, and the training was in Baltimore, so about a 6-hour drive. And back then I didn't fly anywhere, right, because I didn't have the money, so I drove everywhere. And I'm sitting in a room full of my peers, mostly men, and I'm hearing what they're charging for a position benchmark. $3,500 and up. $3,500 and up. I mean, that was the cheapest one, at least of the people who spoke up in the training. Maybe there were other people that weren't. But of the people who spoke, $3,500 was the minimum. You ever sit in a training and be like, your insides are just churning because you know you're better than the people around you, but they're the ones making the money? I really was that angry and frustrated because I thought, I'm better than these people. I'm teaching them stuff. I was in a room with them for 2 days showing them my process, and here's how I do it. And they were furiously scribbling notes. I'm teaching them, but they're charging more than double what I'm charging. So I drove home, and believe me, that's a long drive when you're angry. 6 hours in the car by myself before cell phones, right? And I'm so angry. And then I make a decision. That is it. I am never charging under $3,500 for a benchmark again. And because the universe is so kind, I had the opportunity to quote that within a week. Because you know the universe does that, right? When you make a decision or you make a commitment, you know it's going to test you 3 times to see if you're serious. So I made a decision, and the universe tested me. I said, okay. So here's a huge prospect from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Huge prospect, multi-million-dollar business. Get on the phone with them, explain my process, here's what I do, here's how the benchmark works, and they're all excited. They love it. They're very excited about the process. We get down to that moment where they say, so, what does it cost to do a benchmark? I had so many thoughts going through my head. Tell me if these sound familiar. Well, I could say $3,500, but then if I lose the deal, I lose the opportunity to work with this multi-million-dollar company. So if I say $1,500 and I get it, then I can do multiple jobs and blah, blah, blah over the years, right? So I was doing that, like rationalization. And I was shaking, and I'm sure my voice was quivering. But I said $3,500. And then I shut up. And they said, okay, well, how many positions do you think we should start with? Positions? Did I hear an S on the end of that? Positions, multiple. So I spit out again, let's start with 2. It's all I could think to say. So they did. So I went from where I would have charged $1,500 and probably asked for 1 to $7,000 being in my bank account within 30 days. They are still a client, by the way. That's the great thing. They're still a client. I was not confident when I quoted that price. I almost fell out of my chair quoting that price, but I did it.